It's very easy in ATMs. Today, 2026, is vulnerabilities in ATMs. Okay, the next in schedules. About me, obvious, speak the very short for me. No problem. It's not important. Topic objective is the concepts or context scenarios, for example, in ATMs. Information in my research, etc. In context, the scenario, names, for example, hardware, etc. Theory 1 is the information about theory. POC 1, the video, is the 2 videos. Very easy working in BIOS, reversing tools and modifications. Theory 2 is the reset BIOS in CMOS attack. And video is the POC2 is in 1 minute resets and bypass security the encrypt disk. Impact, obvious, and remediation. Next. Okay, about me, I'm Arnold Morales. I'm ethical hacker. I'm 24 years old. I love the cybersecurity. I share knowledge is very low. Yeah, I have many certifications in cybersecurity. For example, OSP or Hack the Box, for example. No, don't worry. Yeah, the topic objectives. For years, attempts have been made to restrict access PCIe and PCI Express. Ports mitigate DMA attacks, and traditional protection mechanisms implement at the operating system or kernel level. Only allow generate alerts or detain suspicious activities and without completely prevent access to the hardware. The first picture is the sheet BIOS in ATMs and with both the vendors. And the second picture is the configuration in BIOS, the very important enable or disable slot ports to attack DMA. Obvious, the third picture is the DMA sequence. For example, injection, use the FPA, and for example, the DMA. Obviously, the defense strategies are evolving towards the various layers of the system. And RAINLove 2 in Windows internals is Wi-Fi firmware, where it is possible to apply the restriction before the operating system boots and protection, for example, secure boot or another boot. Yeah? And the C-chance retake use the objective is no longer only the interact with the PCI Express device, but to look the methods that reactivate or enable or recover access to the port. Obvious the DMA attack. Yeah. The next is the basic is UIDs. UIDs are unique identifiers used to the represented objects and components with the system. For example, the first picture, we see the structure in UIDs. UIDs is basic, is check in Microsoft Windows, the programs in interaction or others. For example, in BIOS, it checks integration with the encrypt disk. And the next picture is the reverses in BIOS. For example, the image is Wi-Fi boot options UID and board info UID, check UID. In ATMs, the UIDs is very important in BIOS. Obvious in my research is the focus in bypass encrypt disk. For example, modified BIOS, bootkits, etc. The next picture is the tool, Wi-Fi tool. Is the option, the load UID database and export discovered UIDs and load default UIDs. So, UIDs in this attack is very important because the check encryption only check in the UIDs. Oof, it's very complicated, the UIDs. Yeah, in my reversing, for example, I check the UIDs and copy and paste is very easy. Yeah, security in ATMs, and several tests determine that there exists protection and the Wi-Fi level validate the hardware or the BIOS only by UIDs, which obviously the BIOS were not reproduced. For example, we see the programmer CH341A as the programming copy and paste BIOS, read or write, and obvious we work the Windows internals in Rainlove 2. Thanks for Pavel Josefovich that shared the information, okay? So, the theory one, we can copy BIOS and it is very easy in models like 5500, and you just have to uncover the protection and grab it. Sometimes that they notice it is that by completely changing the BIOS, deactivate PCIe works for you and vice versa, okay? So is the protection is very easy, remove BIOS. Is in the picture number 1 and number 2 is very easy on protection, okay? You can buy the chips online at a very low price, but the important thing is that if you delete parts of the BIOS, it is lifting and you can enable the port with having to have the password using any sheet. But the problem in this attack is the very time, for example, the open fascia in ATMs, ATM PCIe is the vertical. So the open computer is the Unprotection chip is very problem. So the I share a chip, no, it's very problem. But is the initial in my research. Okay, the first POC. Oh. Okay. Yeah. All use with the Wi-Fi tool use and my Windows in no problem. Copy and paste with the programmer CH. Export the UIDs, the PCIe enable. So the copy and paste, remote, and import UIDs. So and Control C is save the date and remote the modification. The BIOS is the first, the very important. So the UIDs change in another BIOS. Obvious the BIOS is only version, similar version, or another topic. So is the first attack? No, not for me. It's attack is the check. Yeah, the next in the check is the okay. Oh, error. No problem. Yeah. With the Wi-Fi tool, the before version, import and replace region and remove and replace and saved image. So the very important includes the UID because the bypass and dice encrypt. You check, copy and paste and save. Not problem. If region is replaced, it's very easy. But not is the vulnerabilities. Check the BIOS or remote with the Wi-Fi tool. So the impact. You can copy firmware and change the physical chip because as such there is no chip violation or any memory status. Obvious AT encryption is not broken because a simple UID check analysis files a little short for modification, but is the confirmation that the copy and paste BIOS and bypass encryptize. So the very important in the real world is very complex. What we have used and usually take 30 minutes, even if you automate it, if you must consider that you have to open the ATM, but in additional to that, remove the sheet and or have another identical one prepared. It's usually complicated. Obvious ignoring nervous or Parkinson's. Their research on this topic continued until a scenario was found that favored the real world. Obvious The copy and paste chip is very easy, no vulnerability, so no problem. But in the open fascia and ATMs is very probably. The time is the focus in attack. The first thing in a pen testing of this type is that we must keep in mind our real scenario. That is alarms and open is that if you have practice or there if no good measurement. Here you have approximately 10 minutes, but when a right chips you can drop them, which caused we the need to want something that called very fast. Continuing the investigation, I found BIOS CRTL or CLRTC BIOS, reset BIOS, CLR BIOS, obvious, but no vulnerabilities are issues in ATMs or in another computer is because when you overclocking computer, if you file the modification, the reset in the BIOS CMOS, the configuration resets. Obviously, the reset by default. And the default in ATMs is PCIe enable. So enable PCIe open the attack and DMA attacks. The image is the jumps in hardware and jumps and shorts and reset BIOS. Okay, the problem, this is not a vulnerability, is sometimes mapped to the computers and some electric equipment. This was created to resolve bad BIOS configuration when overclocking and will return the default configuration like the one we can evolve from PCIe. Here share the link, the information computer and basic, but not problem. In ATMs, the configuration in BIOS is very important because the protection in DMA attacks, protection bootkits, for example, or another injection in the kernel load, and DMA and level Wi-Fi modification or another attacks. So the problem is not vulnerabilities, maybe issue or fixing, for example, the chain configuration when you overclocking. So and the default configuration in another model, for example, like 200 model DN, is the reset configuration but not change the password. In models like the 5500 is reset CMOS and execute, for example, reset password. So you reset password and change configuration, for example, active the, I don't know, PCIe slots, M.2, change the secure boot are disabled. So it's open the others attacks. Advantage. The time and easy of making this bright is easier than remove the chip. Obvious is change the pins and reset BIOS is open and close. In the event that this part exists because in other models they are soldered. So the chip is the copy and paste but not easy. But you only have to take 1 minute doing and it the BIOS in 2 scenarios for something interesting. Model 7 reset the password, causing the encryption to break. Don't scare it, then 2B times that breaks. And in another, the password is not changed, but the settings error. Thank you for my friend Gothics. I might help them this POC. The POC 2 is the time is simply reduced to 80 minutes, considered safety, so you can do DMA or whatever you like it, okay? The next POC is very, very easy. Only take 1 minute, yeah? It's a fast video, but not problem. Obvious, I check the configuration, I put my password, not problem. I reset the chain configuration in ATM. Oof. The next check, save configuration, reset ATM. Obviously open fascia, but in this case it's open. Chain and the pins. So open warning with the shorts. Obvious, reset and shake the pin. Okay, it's very easy. Chain and reset the overclocking and reset CMOS. Next, connect, disconnect. I change my battery, but is the low battery, not problem. The short and complete. They put in position original. I set the close the ATM, connect, disconnect. Yeah. Run the attack. My friend. Yeah. Okay. The ATM not the password not password. Yeah. We see not password if though. So the parameters not modification because the ATM need the new password. New password, create new password. I put my password. I finish my new password. I save the configuration and reset. My new password. So the chain configuration, the ATMs, for example, the PCIe slots or another slots. Obvious, they open another attacks, for example, DMA and boot kits or another's. I don't know. Okay. Next. Solutions. The defense part is usually transferred to the supplier. But if you have to the equipment or the cert to do so, you can work on it, not mention alerts and physical protections. But let's recap first. GUID is very important, GUID is important and sports. Here we have to focus so much on disks that the chips does not have such as SIM RAM or something that is going to be compressed, such as memory state. On the part of the resetting CMOS, closing is simpler. You must program to the default configuration in the CMOS. The activate the PCIe and PCIe Express or M.2 port. In addition to consider disabling the jumper at the programming level, obvious with the UEFI. For example, UEFI.org is the documentation that UEFI is the blocking 11 jumper, but the very problem with the reset CMOS. Regarding alerts when they open fascia and tour of the equipment, it will be your rule the alerts and send reboots to the ATMs. Why the reboots be the ATM? Obvious when you release the DMA or ATMs mount in direct memory access. So the reset ATMs change the opportunity this attack because the reset and unmount DMA, so not execute injection memory, doomed information, for example, or another attacks. Okay, very fast. The learning. Okay, did learning. They share links information, UEFI.org and Hotma, my website. And this information, the UEFI BIOS, hardware control, bypass secure boot, same errors, for example, or another attacks. This research is very easy, but in this year, executes these attacks in Mexico City or another cities, countries, the LATAM. So I finished the APT, my friends, and the APT village is the village in Mexico, like the share info, knowledge, for example, or another topics in attacks. Yeah, I finished. Questions? Oh, yeah.
How did you start doing this ATM and all this stuff?
The ATMs cybersecurity is complicated. ATMs, for example, the ATM framework de seguridad and levels Wi-Fi and level kernel protection or another attack protection the enable hardware, for example. So it's very complex, but for example, this attack is very easy. Connect or disconnect, yeah, easy. Yeah.
Did you try another mark of ATM, for example,
Need for double need for? Yes, these ATMs is double need for. They function attacks in NSR. Another is Hijofun, the vendors. Yes, this attack functional. Yeah, the double need for is the ATMs in anyway world.
What is the name of the other
Models or vendors? NCR and Hiyosun, yeah. Yeah, is the ATMs, the FCON is Hiyosun, yeah.
So did you run into the dynamic security suite at all for that?
Yeah, bypass the first box, bypass encrypt disk. Only check the GUIDs and BIOS. If you copy BIOS and modify it and copy and paste GUIDs, bypass full encrypt. This is the dynamic security suite. Yeah. It's very funny because I don't know that the functional attacks, but the function attacks. Not questions? Yeah. Gracias.